trust. It's a hard thing to build up with people, but so easy to lose. For a lot of people, building up trust takes a lot of time and effort. And if you have any trust issues, prejudices, or just dislikes of people, it can make that task even harder. And that's kind of why I have an issue with this episode and why I think it kind of fails. But before I get into the failures, let me do a recap of episode 3, just a small one, because that plays heavily into why I don't think this is a successful episode. In episode 3, Ark meets a warrior elf by the name of Ariana, and she is tasked with finding elves who've been either captured and sold in the slave market or are enslaved and needs to bring them back home. A lot of these elves that are warriors have either anger or trust issues or just downright hate humanity. And you can understand why because of the crimes that have been committed against them. So when Ariana hears that Ark offers his help to find these elves and help free them, Ariana automatically says no and flees. Determined not to give up, Ark goes to an elven forest and encounters some slavers attacking children. Thankfully, Ark is able to prevent this along with the help of Ariana. Seeing his good deeds, Ariana decides to maybe trust Ark and take his help up to go find some more elves to save. Now, the problem is that we should be seeing the transition from someone who has mistrust of humans, doesn't like humans, and is slowly building up to someone who, is willing to work with them and is okay with it. But the issue with episode 4 is that we don't see any of that. She just seems to automatically just trust Ark in this episode, whereas she should have some trust issues there. Maybe giving him a side glance, maybe pondering in her own mind that is this really a good idea to bring a human along, just doubting herself. Because there's a gray area where you're going from your old set of beliefs where all humans are bad and they have enslaved your people to, okay, well, this human, he seems to be good, so I'm going to trust him and we're going to see how things work out. So it would be nice to see that little go in between, but unfortunately we don't get any of that good character development in this episode. She already trusts him, believes in him because he helped save her and the children. Now, I get it, he helped save her, but there should still be a bit of mistrust because she's changing her own personal mindset at this point. So we need to see that change, and we don't. This is only compounded more with the introduction of Danka, where he could have been a great foil to show that how Ariana used to think with her prejudice against humans, dislikes, and absolutely despising them, and her being more open, changing her mind, and accepting of it. Because there's a conversation when Ark is gone doing his own personal business where he asks, do you really trust this mercenary? And at this point, maybe we could have a conversation where she's like, no, I don't fully trust him, but he did save me and some elven children, so I'm willing to give him the benefit of the doubt to see where this goes. And I'm hoping that we are proven right. And then you could have him respond like, I disagree completely. I don't want him here. Get him out. I don't trust him at all. And you could have a nice back and forth going on there. Instead, what we get in that scene is that,
tell me the truth. This human, do you honestly think that he can be trusted?
Yes.
Very well. Then we'll leave it at that.
but I would prefer to see that she still isn't quite sure on trusting Ark. She's open to it. She's willing to, but she's not quite there. Whereas in the actual version, she seems to already accept that, yeah, I trust him completely. Even though you've only known him for a couple hours and you don't really know him that well. As for Danka, he seems to have just fallen and believe it in Ark as soon as Ariana mentions that Ark can use teleportation magic and is friends with a spirit creature. Because before that happens, Ark is trying to convince Danka to tell him the plans of how they're going to get those elves out and what they're going to be doing. But he just keeps stonewalling him. But after he hears all of what Ark can do and that he's a friend of the spirit creature, he's more than willing to tell his entire plan of how he's going to rescue the elves. Which I personally have an issue with. You should still be very mistrustful of Ark. Like, I get the spirit creature. It's significant in the elven culture, but that still shouldn't be something that just overrides all of your concerns and worries about a human. Now, there are also other aspects that play into why I think Danka should still be worried and concerned. First off, Ark doesn't take off his helmet. We know why, because he's a skeleton, but for them, it's just some dude that doesn't want to take off his helmet when they're having a meal, which for me, I would have an issue with, because if I'm going to trust you to have my back in a dangerous situation, I want to see what your face looks like, so I can have that connection to like, okay, you got me, I got you. That's kind of an issue that I have there. The other issue, though, and the more important one, is that as soon as their meeting is done and over with, and it's revealed that it's going to be a couple hours before they head out on the mission, Ark immediately gets up and leaves. Now, for me, if I was Danka, I'd be like, why are you leaving immediately once this is over? Where are you going to go? I would cast a spell to track him to make sure that he's not going to go inform anybody or tell anybody what your plan is. Because as far as you know, he could be a mercenary that the slave trade owners hired to eliminate all the elven warriors. Because right now the elven warriors are the ones who are freeing the elves, hurting their prophets, killing their men. So I could definitely see some slave traders getting a mercenary to go hunt them down. So I would be a little bit more wary of that. And you could play into that as another aspect of how Ariana is trying to trust Ark more, so believes in him that everything will be fine, and demonstrating how Danka doesn't. But unfortunately, we don't get that kind of character development in this story. Instead, everything goes fine. Ark just is going out selling bandit items and is having a dinner on his own where he can remove his helmet. The mission, it pretty much goes off without a hitch. All the elves get saved. As they're doing the mission, Ark comes across a ninja in the Lord's Manor House. She gives him information that there are a couple elves in the Lord's Palace that need to be rescued, and she gives him documents proving that this Lord is attached to the slave trade. Because before that, all we knew is that there were slavers. We didn't know who was leading them and who was in charge, but now with these papers, they have the evidence. And when he presents this information to Ariana and Danka, they both seem to accept it and are okay with it, and not concerned in the least that maybe this could be a trap, because you're now going to an even more heavily fortified position to go rescue a couple elves that this guy that you shouldn't even wholly trust just brought you out of the blue, along with just some papers. And he claims he got all this from just a random guardsman. I don't know about you, but I don't know too many security guards or just normal hired people who know where you keep your hidden items, especially if you're doing the slave trade. But they believe him and they go with it, and the episode ends with Ariana and Ark leaving to go rescue the elves from the Lord's Palace. So personally, I give this episode a 6.5. I thought that the character development was severely lacking. I wasn't necessarily a big fan of how they moved the story forward. It wasn't really all that engaging, just going to be honest with you there. I thought it could have been a lot more interesting and a lot more well done. So, that's just my disappointment there. But maybe I'm being too harsh on it. Let me know in the comments below if I was being a little too hard. Maybe this isn't a failure of an episode and I'm just being too nitpicky. So just let me know. I'm looking forward to hear what you guys got to say. And before we head out, I got to show you an honorable mention, the fan service.
Kind of tight.
Alright, thanks for watching, guys. I'll catch you later. Take care now. Bye.